We're always talking about India's culture,
Yeah.
you know, its history.
Oh.
But have you ever really thought about how many sacred spaces there actually are?
Right.
Like how many temples?
Yeah.
Our sources today, they give us this crazy number.
Okay.
Over 2 million temples
Wow.
in India.
2 million.
2 million!
That's just incredible.
So today, we're going to deep dive into that number.
Okay. Sounds good.
What can that number tell us about India?
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty mind-blowing, isn't it? When you consider that each one of those temples, it's not just like a building.
Right.
You know, it's got a whole history behind it, a unique style of architecture,
Right.
and like its own spiritual energy.
I see. Yeah. It really makes you think about India differently when you think about it as like having that much sacredness built into it.
Exactly. And I
Yeah.
think it really speaks to how strong these spiritual traditions are
Yeah.
and how important they are to the people.
Right.
What's really fascinating, too, is how different all of those temples are. You know, you don't just see like
Yeah.
one style over and over.
Okay.
Each region has its own unique flavor.
So let's take a little trip across India. See some examples.
Sounds like fun.
Okay. So first stop, North India.
Okay.
We've got the Phasia Wood, Kashi Vishwanath Temple, in
Ah,
Varanasi.
yeah.
I mean, that name alone, it's beyond us.
Yeah.
Super evocative.
For sure. Varanasi is one of the oldest cities in the world that people still live in, and Kashi Vishwanath is right at the heart of it,
Wow.
spiritually.
Right.
Then there's Kedarnath, which is high up in the Himalayas. You know, it shows you how devoted people are, that they would build something so incredible in such a wild place. And then there's the Golden Temple,
Oh, yeah.
the heart of Sikhism. It's just stunning and so peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, Vaishno Devi. This temple draws in pilgrims from all walks of life, and all of these temples,
Yeah.
each one is completely unique in how it looks and in the story behind it.
Okay, now let's head south. Our sources highlight the Meenakshi Temple
Mm.
in Madurai. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures of it,
Mhm.
but it is massive. And the carvings are so incredibly detailed.
It's a classic example of Dravidian architecture. The bright colors, the elaborate sculptures, those tall gateways, the gopurams, covered in carvings that tell stories from Hindu mythology.
Wow.
And then there's Tirupati. It's one of the most popular pilgrimage destinations in the world.
Yeah.
And Rameshwaram with its connection to the Ramayana epic. And you can't forget about Virupaksha Temple in Hampi, a remnant of a lost empire.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to see how the architecture and the deities change from region to region, reflecting different histories and beliefs.
Now let's go east and west. We've got the Konark Sun Temple in Odisha. It's shaped like a giant chariot,
Yeah.
dedicated to the sun god. It's
Yeah.
just an incredible feat of engineering and artistry.
Absolutely. And it was designed to be perfectly aligned with the movements of the sun. It wasn't just a place of worship, it was a testament to their understanding of astronomy.
Then we've got Somnath in Gujarat, one of the 12 Jyotirlinga shrines, dedicated to Shiva. This temple has been destroyed and rebuilt so many times, which just shows you how important it is to people.
That's right. That resilience is really remarkable.
Yeah. And lastly, there's Kamakhya in Assam, a really important site for Hindu pilgrimage, known for its unique tantric traditions.
You really get a sense of the diversity of religious expression in India when you look at a place like Kamakhya, and these are just a few examples out of millions.
Right. Millions. It really highlights the depth and the variety of India's spiritual landscape.
You know, when you think about the sheer number of temples, it really shows you how integral they are to life in India. They're not just places to worship, they're also centers for art, architecture, history, and community.
So what we've learned today is that India's deep connection to spirituality is really evident in its temples. They are everywhere, and each one is unique and special.
It's amazing to think about all of the devotion and artistry that has gone into creating these spaces over the centuries.
And here's a final thought for you. We've just skimmed the surface. We've talked about a handful of temples, but there are millions more out there, each with its own story to tell. What secrets might they hold? What can we learn from them? It's something to think about.
It really is. It could be a lifetime of exploration.